everyone, Eric here. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm super excited to be introducing to you our guest, Laura Wucher. She's one of the top real estate agents in Contra Costa County, and if you live out here, you've probably seen one of her signs. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Laura, and tell us about how you got into real estate.
Okay, so I was just thinking about that. I'm kind of from a real estate family per se, and that my dad was is a real estate developer. So even growing up, but he's commercial. So we're kind of always exposed to that. And we grew up in Hawaii, and it was, building buildings and stuff like that. So kind of had that going on. And then with my aunt, great aunt, her name is also Laura Elizabeth as well. And she was a big real estate tycoon in Florida. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I kind of have that real estate DNA thing going on. But actually, so I was and my husband was working for Better Homes and Gardens, but he's a finance guy, nothing to do with real estate at all. And then as a stay-at-home mom, kind of the kids were getting older. I was getting tired of doing laundry and stuff. And also we didn't have enough money. So it's like, okay, can we afford to go to Burger King? No, we can't do that. Let's do something else today kind of thing. I'm like, wow. I want to live my life like this. So I need to find something that's different. When I talked to my brother-in-law, he said, hey, even if you go get your real estate license, even if you can make $30,000 a year, good. You're helping out. I have enough money to go buy chicken tenders and life is good. So I thought, okay, I'll get my real estate license. What I didn't know is I have really bad ADD. So sitting and doing the classes on the computer did not work for me. I couldn't do it. So I had to go to GDC, did that for a semester, and then got my license. And it was just like a fish taking to water. It was really, I did all the work though. Like anything I asked someone to do is something I've already done. For instance, I passed flyers out in neighborhoods. Whatever it was that I needed to do, I did it. I wasn't afraid to do things. And then it just took off, and I kept on doing my real estate. And then eventually my husband got laid off like 2 years later, which was a blessing. Well, it's not a blessing, it sucked, but at least I had a job already in place that I could step up my game and start supporting the family and stuff so we didn't become homeless. And then the branding, the pink brand was kind of almost a mistake in that I wanted a brand and I had a friend kind of just sketch out, the LW thing, and that worked. They were going through colors, and I had a Christmas picture that I happened to be wearing a pink shirt. And I said, this is going to be a big chance, because I was a little bit afraid going pink because everybody was doing, greens, blues. Like I thought, no guy's ever going to list their house with me if I'm pink. That's not a manly color. But I thought, it's the color that resonates with me. So I'm gonna stick with what feels right. Cool. Use the Christmas picture, cropped out the family and stuff like that. And that was, just kind of what I used. And since no one else had done it, I think it really stood out too. You see the green signs, you see the blue signs, but you don't really see someone take that super big plunge and go pink. You're seeing a little bit more. And then doing research later on, I think pink is supposed to be an approachable color. So they say, which I didn't know. I just like the color. So that's how I came up with kind of my brand and my color.
Nice.
And it's been a good ride for sure.
Yeah. What year was this, if you don't mind me asking, Laura?
So I started in 2010. So my son had just turned 10 and my daughter was 7. And before that, they called me knitting mom because I used to knit all the time. So, But whatever I do, I throw my passion into it. So I was actually like a really good knitter. I wasn't your typical knitter.
Well, it also looks like you're a best-in-class real estate agent as well. Would you mind elaborating on what it takes to be a top real estate agent? I mean, I've seen your signs literally everywhere, so I just want to know what you're doing differently than your competitors. Do you mind elaborating on that?
I mean, I don't think it's different. I think I just do it. A lot of people are looking for the easy way out and stuff. And for me, there wasn't. I had to just, really do it. And I started small. I started in my neighborhood. I had my own stupid flyers. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, just getting out there and doing it was what made the difference. And maybe there's a sense of authenticity and stuff when something isn't all perfect. And, and then we would just wrap candy canes, or every month I would come up with something else that I was doing. And I stayed really small and focused in the beginning. So I was just in my little neighborhood, 200 houses, and it was good. But then I just started, expanding, and it really took off quickly, almost quicker than what I was ready for. So then I had to start hiring people and stuff like that. But it's really putting in the work. So that's the other thing. If people think, it's easy. Maybe it is for some people, but there's a lot of hours involved, and there's a lot of not being with the family and
Right.
sacrificing stuff like that too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously easier if you have the gift of gab, right? But when did you decide to hire on additional people onto your team?
Two things. I always think I did think outside. Well, I know I thought outside of the box because let's say I had an investor who wanted to buy a property, and that's when I was first starting out. I had no idea what I was doing. So
Right.
I I hooked up with someone that knew how to work with investors. I'm like, let's share this guy, do 50-50 the first transaction, 30. We just had this whole split and everything. And early on, I started bringing people on as a team, so people who I couldn't do every single open house. I'd ask people to come
Right.
and help me out. So I started with that. I think that helped. And then hiring my first assistant. Oh boy, I would say just part-time stuff, maybe my second or third year in the business, and then full-time, probably third or fourth year in the business. And it's always changing, as the business changes, what I need changes. So it's
Hmm.
always,
No, that
I'm
makes sense.
evolving.
And what was it that you were looking for in an agent that you were looking to hire?
I haven't gone out and actually interviewed and said, I really want to hire an agent. It's always been people who say, hey, I hear you have a really successful team. I want to come join the team. And then I've become more selective to see if they're a good fit because I feel like we have really good synergy now as a team. And I
Right.
don't want to put someone on that isn't. But we are looking for someone, what I'm looking for right now, because I am, is someone that's they're hungry. They're willing to do the work. They're willing to
Right.
get out there. They're a go getter. The work's there. The business is there. The money is there. The money's really, really good, but you have to put
Hmm.
yourself out there. You got to do the work. You can't be afraid to go and make it happen either. So that would be what I'd be looking for someone right now. When I hired my first full-time person, we were kind of going, we get like, 500 resumes. You're like, oh my God. And then it was I think it was right after Christmas. And this resume came across my desk and I just said, oh my God, this is the guy. I'm going to hire him. And I kissed it. And I said, I'm hiring this guy. Lauren, who's one of my agents, said, you can't just hire someone without meeting him. I'm like, no, I know. This is the guy. I'm going to hire him. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So a lot of it's that also, and he worked out very, very well for a very long time. So a lot of it is just that intuitive thing as well. And
So
also attracting, I would say that's one of the most powerful things I would say is the power of attraction and the power of your mind. Because
mm,
when you set your mind to something, you open your universe up to it, you can attract really great things.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. I mean, what was it like? One distinct factor on the resume that was like, this is a done deal.
Oh God, he had been working for another realtor, so he had every single thing
Okay.
that I needed, that I knew I needed, So that's how I knew I guess the other realtor wasn't doing as much work or something, and his resume came across my desk, and I just said, this is who I want.
So you snatched him from a competitor. Good
I
job.
did. I snatched exactly,
Nice,
exactly.
nice. Okay, just I wanted to pivot now to COVID. So last year, how did you adapt to the new scenario, and what was it like? I heard from a couple of your team members that you actually had some of your best months
Mhm.
in 2020. So, which no surprise, the market is booming right now. But why don't you talk to me a little bit more about how you were able to adapt to that?
Yeah, so COVID it obviously was really scary. I was like, oh my God, am I going to even be able to survive? Are we going to be homeless? What's going to happen now?
Right.
And so, because we didn't know what was going to happen with real estate and stuff. But what I did know is just looking at what the need was going to be just for myself. And I told my husband, I'm like, we should buy the Matterport camera. Everything's going to need to be online now. We need to kind of change what we're doing. Maybe we do an offshoot business of this because this is what other realtors are going to be looking for. And this, I would say, was in like day 2 of lockdown. I just went, this is all going to be shifting. So I think immediately my mindset went to the shift instead of fighting it as like how can I leverage what I'm going to need and maybe even start another business. So I'm making money on the side doing this.
Mm.
We didn't need to start the other business because I did hook up with some people that could help me out with what I was looking for.
Hmm.
But it was really just embracing that it was going to be more technology driven, more
Right.
online. Um, and then getting out once again, getting out of my head and saying things are still happening because I had probably about 8 or 9 transactions going on. It was really difficult because everything closed down and people are ready to close, and it was kind of a crazy time, but
Yeah.
it worked well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's what a time to be alive right now. It's definitely crazy
Yeah.
to say the
And
least.
it was interesting because I went on a interview right when things were, kind of in the crux of it
Uh-huh.
early on though. And since I had already been doing kind of this mental preparation and also putting my systems in place right out of the gate when I went and interviewed against another very good agent, I was already prepared versus she hadn't even really started to think about it, let alone implement anything. So that
Right.
was interesting too.
No, that,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, for people like millennials and Gen Zs that are coming into this new market, specifically within the Bay Area, as you have probably noticed, the prices are just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind walking through, why you think that is? Do you mind elaborating on that?
So I think right now, yeah, the low interest rates, I think COVID just made people make a move. If they were thinking about moving, they said, okay, wait, I'm going to move now. This is what. So we have everyone coming from the cities out to the suburbs. And then we have a lot of people moving out of the area too. It would seem that we would have more of an equal housing market, but we just don't right now. Although what I do know, and that's what I was telling my buyers agents, is things always shift. I mean, that's real estate. It's going to shift. We're here right now, but it's going to shift again. So,
Hmm.
just plan on that because if they're getting all discouraged, some houses are having 70 offers on a house.
Right.
Okay, that's the house everybody wants. Find the one that not everybody wants because there's also a house for that 70 offer house. I had another one my buyer was going to write on that only had 2 offers and they would have taken a contingent offer. So
Mm.
obviously that's not the one that they're gravitating towards, but if you're willing to, sacrifice a little bit on something, they're available.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good segue into my next question was in terms of, people looking to actually buy a house in 2021, what do you think that, first time home buyers should really be looking for right now, and especially in this market in the Bay Area?
So, I mean, I guess it's going to be different for each person and what they're looking for, right?
Mhm.
And how strong they are, because you have people that are coming from San Francisco or Oakland that are pre-approved. They can remove all contingencies. They have, all their money set aside versus someone else,
Right.
might not. They might have a more difficult time. One of the most important things is, really to have all your financing in order. Be working with a really good agent that knows the area, who's connected with the other agents in the area because they might be able to make some phone calls and find out something
Mhm.
that's coming on off market and get the client in that way. So
Right.
I would recommend that. Also shop below what you're pre-approved for. So if you're pre-approved up to 1 million, go be shopping a little bit lower. So if it is a bidding war, you do have the bandwidth to come up. And then just
Right.
keep writing offers. Don't get discouraged because something is going to come and then the market's going to shift. So I'd say just be tenacious, think outside of the box as well, work with a really good realtor who knows their stuff, who's well connected, and even things like even writing letters, find a neighborhood you like, reach
Right.
out to people. That your realtor or your title company will be able to find the houses that people have been in there for a long time that they
Mhm.
might be willing to make a move. So, getting a realtor who's proactive and, sending out those notes and stuff too.
How would you recommend somebody go about looking for a real estate agent if they don't, know somebody already within their existing circle?
Well, like you found me because you saw that I was successful, right? So you know that there's something there. So I'd say that's a way, just do your research, ask around. I wouldn't recommend using your mother's brother's best friend's cousin's uncle. They might not be the best realtor. You
Right.
want someone that's either really really experienced or really hungry and knows how to get it done. I would say, and just have those connections and stuff. Realtors do tend to work in geographic areas. We tend to have our strengths in certain areas. Some
Right.
people are all over the place, but I'll tell you, when someone wants to list a house in Oakland, I'm referring that. I'll help get the house staged to make it the way I do, but I'll be referring it. I'll partner with someone in Oakland because they're going to know that market. They're going to know what they're
Mm.
doing versus here is different. In my little world, versus that world versus San Francisco.
That's smart. I never thought about it that way. So you have basically a network of other real estate agents that cover
Yeah.
neighborhoods that you can refer to, and then you would get a percentage based off of that referral, right?
Exactly. So if I have someone in Pleasanton or whatnot, I'm not necessarily super knowledgeable for a buyer in Pleasanton looking for schools and that.
Right.
Can I educate myself? Yes, but is it better to just have a team? And so you have the agent in Pleasanton that could be really helping you out there.
Do you have any connections outside of the Bay Area, like in other states too, or
Yeah, I do, definitely. And that keeps on growing as well.
Yeah, right.
Because more and more people are moving out of state. And then even when I have a seller who's moving to another place, and how's your realtor, can you refer them to me so that we can have that back and forth going on?
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect segue into like the actual networking events that you've had in the past pre-COVID. I heard that you throw little gatherings here and there. Mm-hmm. When did that start? And can you tell me more about that?
So I do a lot of client appreciation parties and that type of thing, just, to gather everybody around, my lenders, my vendors. Also just within the real estate community, like right now we're with Serena Group, we just changed brokerages. But there's a lot of different things that we do like I'll go to Inman Conference, which is all realtors from all over the world actually meeting in one place. And so you're exchanging ideas and stuff. It's a big conference. In fact, if you're interested in real estate, you should subscribe to it. I think we get at least one email every day. Really good articles on the real estate market. It's Inman. And so we go to that conference and you're already networking over there or training. And
what was it called again?
Of different things. INMAN. Inman.
Inman. I'm going to definitely look that up later on.
Yeah, look it up. And you'll get a wealth of information. I think it's like $100 to subscribe for the year. But if you're interested in real estate, it's well worth it.
Oh, thank you for that. I'll definitely check it out later on. Just kind of changing gears here. Like I said, with the new change in leadership in the White House, the House being blue, the Senate being blue, basically Biden's going to be able to pass really whatever he wants to an extent. What are your thoughts on the $15,000 first-time homebuyer credit that Biden's proposed?
So I have honestly not done any research on it yet, but I think it would be a great thing. I mean, it will help open it up for people. And just that extra $15,000 might make a big difference to somebody. So no, I do think it's good. We need to get more inventory. So what I was reading is like with COVID and even a little bit before COVID, obviously new housing did slow down. So once we get that ramped up again too, we should have more houses. Mm-hmm. And people are moving to California, people are moving out, but I'm glad that it's a robust market. And it always seems to be. I mean, it always seems like housing is pretty strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard counter arguments to that by them basically saying that it might artificially increase the real estate market even more. Do you think that would be a possibility, like making it even more competitive and more expensive?
Well, if someone can't afford it, I mean, I don't know that $15,000 is going to make or break it in California, because it's so competitive here anyway.
Makes sense.
Maybe in another state it will, but here, it's competitive. So that $15,000 might help add to somebody's down payment and make a difference. But if that's all that they're really counting on, it's going to be tough.
Yeah,
here,
that makes sense.
It's so competitive in the Bay Area. Maybe in other places. I mean, I just really know the Bay Area. So
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people, my age and around my age just simply won't be able to buy a house in the Bay Area for a long time. I mean, they're probably going to be renting for a while. So for those of us that are looking to leave California, there's definitely been a max exodus out of the state. What markets would you recommend they look towards? Like, what news have you heard about emerging?
So are you talking about more like a millennial? Or are you talking more for just in general?
A good question. I would say more for somebody that's looking to buy their first property versus retiring. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I would go wherever the industries are going, right? And right now you have a lot of growth in Dallas, Fort Worth area. You have Austin, so Texas is really good. There's Colorado is looking good. I mean, just wherever the industries are and prices are still affordable. And then the other thing, going back to your politics that I've noticed, and I never really paid attention to it before, but it seems like there's really the blue states and the red states. So, or parts of the blue states,
Swing states.
and this was never a conversation I ever even considered or had until this year. So it's kind of interesting too.
Well, it's no surprise. I mean, there's been like more representation in our election this past election than ever before. I mean, a lot more people have become involved just, due to the nature of the climate that we're in right now. So that definitely makes sense. Kind of really a curveball question here, but I have heard of people investing in like storage container homes. Or
okay, that's super cool that you said that. Yeah. So my friend's 20, so we were always talking, and he's a real estate kid. I was like, you should talk to him too because he loves his real estate. But so yeah, we were looking at it, and I think it's a really good idea. I think it's good because it's eco-friendly. You're using something. Also, the grain silos, right? That's the other thing that people are doing. I have a friend, she just bought 40 acres on a lake in Michigan. And so they're going to build a grain silo. That's where they're going to live. My son's talking about buying a piece of land and building a lot of tiny houses on the piece of land so that, people can come and they'll have a place to live. So it's just a very interesting idea.
I know.
And there's a lot of really cool ones too. I mean, if you look at them, spend some time checking them out. So
yeah, my friend was my friend Chris, who was the first person that introduced me to them, and he was saying that some people had them like listed on Airbnb and they were renting them out, and it was I mean, I had never heard of it, and I don't know personally if I would invest in it, but do you think at some point like the banks would be willing to lend money for people that wanted to purchase like a shipping container?
I don't know. But I mean, if it's because you have the land, right? You have the structure. I guess I'd have to ask one of my appraiser friends what they think and how they would even appraise that. It'd be an interesting conversation.
I have no idea, but people are really investing very in unconventional ways, like trying to figure out ways to make money. Like it just, I had to ask you your perspective on it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And I mean, I guess if it was a really nice one, I could live in one. If I was on the beach in San Diego, I could certainly live in a grain silo.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, for me, as you know, I'm looking to invest in a property, pretty soon here. I was even thinking maybe at some point, like putting like a storage container in the backyard if I have a huge lot, like having that built out. That'd be pretty cool if I could live in that, right? At some point. So, that's pretty much all the questions that I have for you though, Laura. Is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners though? Any like
words of wisdom?
Right. Words of wisdom specifically for people that are listening right now.
I would just say aim high, just go for it. Cause that's always my motto. It's on my mirror, aim high. Cause that's it. Even
it's on your mirror?
Even if I don't reach whatever I wanted, I'm still like pretty high. So it's good.
Setting your goals high. That's actually, that's something that brings me to, I mean, have you heard of David Goggins before by any chance? Motivational.
No, what is it?
He's a retired Navy SEAL, and he is just on another level. Like I think one of the races he competed in was called Badwater, and he has just really encapsulated mental toughness. And something he talks about is, writing those types of things like on your mirror, like looking at them, every day, just to remind yourself, what you're striving for. So exactly what
it takes up a lot of my mirror, though. I have a lot of good goals. So
that's good. No, that's
room for facelift.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have my vision board like literally right in front of my bed. So like every morning when I wake up, I can see what I'm shooting or striving for. So I completely agree with you 100%.
Exactly. And what is the name of the book, or the gentleman who wrote the book?
His name is David Goggins. He recently, well, not too recent, I think it was a couple of years ago, but he came up with a book called Can't Touch Me, or Can't Hurt Me. And he just talks about his life and what he was able to overcome, and really just learning teaching you how to master your mind, callous your mind. Highly recommend it. Yeah. Nice.
I'm going to read it. Thank you.
Good. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for your time. I really appreciate you, hopping on and spending some time with me. I really do. So have a great rest of your day. Let's definitely keep in touch. Okay.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.